Hi, welcome to Pursuit of Sound, where every week I show a new audio trick. My name is Jason. I'm coming from Chicago. Today I'm focusing on distortion, this very specific kind of distortion. So not like overdrive or just regular run-of-the-mill distortion. This type of distortion is very thin. It's sputtering, kind of transistor radio going between stations. The sound coming from broken equipment or a guitar pedal, like a distortion pedal where the battery is dying, and when you tweak it in one way or the other, it can sputter more and more until it just goes into silence rather than getting louder or anything like that, the way other distortions would. This type of sound works well for harmonies, or when it's mixed with a layer that might have more bass or more punch, because this distortion can tend to rob punch and bass from the sound that's running through it. Its strength, I think, is its novelty. It's useful for when you want things to sound kind of broken. I think this was a type of distortion that was used fairly often by Nine Inch Nails more than any other artist I can think of, and I'm assuming that just based on my ears, not that I know for sure he uses these kind of tactics. Another band that put it to good use was Sigur Rós, in the gorgeous intro to their song Seglepur. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. So there's several different ways to achieve this type of distortion. You can use wave shaping distortion. You can use like tube distortion that has strong bias control, or you could use DC offset and feed it into just about any regular type of distortion, though it works better for some distortions than others. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is the sample I'm working with today. Real quick. Okay, so this is just the clean signal. And the first type of distortion that I'll show you will be with Isotope Trash, which is my personal favorite wave shaper distortion. If you don't have it, you should buy it because it's cheap and it does a lot. I highly recommend it. And what you do, this is the whole wave shaper window. You can just kind of zoom in using the zoom function right here, and then you double click that, double click it again. Let me turn it on. There you go. Okay, and how you adjust this, because you can't automate these dots or anything like that. You don't want to go in there and play with it at all. But the way that you can play with it via automating it or something like that is to adjust the input gain. So drive it up to give it less sputteringness, because as the sound gets quieter, it starts to cut out. And when you bring it down low enough, eventually it just goes away completely. Just get like little sputters here and there. It's nice. And how that works is, wave shapers, they change the shape of your wave, obviously. And by basically bringing it down right here in this little corner, it just takes the quietest parts of the wave and just chops it right off into silence. And so as sound gets quieter and then it passes this threshold, only the sounds that pass that threshold punch through, and everything below it just cuts out into nothing. Okay, so that's that effect. Now moving on to tube bias. Okay, obviously you're not hearing anything yet. There's no adjustments made to this at all. I believe that this is the way that the effect is set when you open it in Ableton. All you need to do is have it set to the A shape right here, A, and then turn up the bias. And you kind of, if you start to hear it cut away. Now this one works a little bit differently. It's emulating what happens when I think you when you overbias a tube. Not sure exactly what it's doing to the sound, if it's because I don't know much about electricity or about tubes, but I think you can get a similar effect with a guitar tube if you tweak it right, if I'm not mistaken. I'm moving on to DC offset. So real quick, just to explain what DC offset is, let me pull up a waveform real quick because it's a little bit easier to show you. So this is just a regular audio waveform. As you can see, it oscillates between a positive value and a negative value over this center line, which is supposed to signify 0 decibels. And what it does is it basically pushes that waveform up or down depending on, you know, how you have it set, and it pushes the waveform into like a clipping threshold. The nice thing about that is you can get that sort of sputtering effect. Now you can apply it to most distortions. It doesn't work for all distortions. It only works for the ones that clip. And I'll show you some examples of that here in a second. Let me get some audio going here. Move it to another distortion. Okay. This is a transformer form of distortion. It doesn't require a lot of DC offset. You can already hear it's starting to cut out. It's already clipping and sputtering. There are other distortions like rectifiers where it's even more extreme. Okay, now the reason why this works so well for some distortions and not others is that some distortions clip the audio waveform and some don't. So if I put this onto like a tube distortion, turn this off real quick, crank this quite a bit. Now, clearly it's distorting, but I can move this DC offset to its extreme values, and as you can see, it's not really doing anything to the audio signal at all. The reason being is because this is kind of a more subtle type of distortion. It doesn't try to clip the waveform. It just saturates it. It doesn't attempt to change the wave shape form that much. Like it kind of rounds it out a little bit. So that's one of the reasons why DC tools don't work so much for these distortions as they do others. So it's something you might want to experiment with a little bit, see what kind of distortions you like to apply it to. Normally, if there's no distortion in the signal chain at all, this effect is almost completely inaudible. It's mostly designed for fixing DC problems that might show up when you're playing with certain types of effects. Anyways, that's about all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, please click like and subscribe. And I will be back next week with some other new audio tricks. All right, guys, have a good day.